Speculative story about a televised NCAA tournament game between Illinois and Duquesne on TNT at 8:40 p.m. Clash of Titans. March 23, 2024, it was setting up to be an epic evening of March Madness on TNT. At 8:40 p.m. Eastern, the primetime television audience would be treated to a tantalizing matchup between 2-seed Illinois and 10-seed Duquesne in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Two college basketball blue bloods separated by decades of success and famine, now converging on a nation stage with a Sweet 16 berth on the line. This was what the madness was all about. Illinois takes center stage. The Fighting Illini entered the tournament as a popular pick to go deep. They had steamrolled through the Big Ten, capturing both the regular season and conference tournament titles. Their veteran-laden lineup was led by National Player of the Year candidate Terrence Shannon Jr., a super-athletic 6 feet 6 inches senior wing who did a little bit of everything, scoring in bunches, crashing the glass, and making plays defensively. Illinois head coach Brad Underwood had resurrected the proud program in Champaign by building them into an elite defensive unit that could also get out and run in transition. With a lineup featuring 4 seniors, Shannon Jr., Dane Danger, R.J. Melendez, and Coleman Hawkins, plus talented underclassmen like freshman point guard Saran Arminaki, the Illini had the look of a legitimate national title contender. In the opening round in Greensboro, Illinois had rolled past 15-seed Colgate 72-58 as Shannon Jr. exploded for 28 points and Danger controlled the paint with 17 points and 12 rebounds. Now they faced a much taller task against a red-hot mid-major looking to make a historic run. Duquesne's dream continues. While Illinois had long been an elite national program, the Dukes of Duquesne University were the quintessential underdog story. Just a few weeks earlier, the team from Pittsburgh had pulled off a stunning run through the Atlantic 10 tournament as a 10 seed to improbably claim an auto bid to the Big Dance. Since then, they had taken that momentum and parlayed it into a captivating NCAA tournament run for the ages. In the first round, Duquesne faced off against 7-seed Missouri and looked dead in the water, trailing by 20-plus points midway through the second half. But the never-say-die Dukes began chipping away behind a barrage of three-pointers from sharpshooters Jackie Johnson III and Rodney Guiao Jr. Suddenly, what was once a blowout became a barn-burner as the Dukes completed an unthinkable second-half rally to stun Mizzou 85-81 in overtime. The incredible comeback was sparked by head coach Keith Dambrot, the grizzled veteran who had rebuilt the program through sheer force of will and personality. His motivational prowess and fiery demeanor were the epitome of the Duquesne Dukes, pugnacious underdogs who played with a chip on their shoulders and feared no one, and they were being inspired by their senior leader Day Grant, the high-scoring point guard who simply took over down the stretch against Missouri with an array of drives and impossible shot-making to lead the shocking upset. Now, this group of overachievers had their sights set on even greater heights. Another proverbial Cinderella was being born before the nation's eyes. Could they possibly follow up their first-round heroics with another huge win over Illinois, an underdog story for the ages? From the opening tip, it was clear Duquesne had absolutely no fear of their highly touted opponent. The Dukes came out ultra-aggressive, attacking Illinois' vaunted defense repeatedly to grab an early 11-4 lead that sent shockwaves through the stadium. The pro-underdog crowd was squarely behind the A10 upstarts, roaring every time Grant or Guiao Jr. made a big play. But you could see the steely resolve in Illinois' veteran lineup. They were unfazed, just staying composed and sticking to their principles on both ends of the floor. Shannon Jr. and Hawkins finally got them going with a surge late in the half. By the break, the Fighting Illini had clawed all the way back to lead 36-34 in an absolute slugfest. Neither team could seize control for the first 15 minutes of the second half. Every time Illinois looked poised to pull away, Duquesne would answer with a clutch triple to stay within striking distance. Johnson III was burying tray after tray to lead the charge, countering Shannon Jr.'s brilliance on the other end. Finally, the Dukes simply refused to go away as the game reached the final TV timeout with just over 3 minutes remaining and Illinois nursing a precarious 66-63 lead. Duquesne had far exceeded expectations, but it felt like this could finally be the moment where the clock struck midnight on their magical underdog run. Man plans, God laughs. Coming out of the under 4 media timeout, Illinois quickly pushed the lead to 70-63 on a transition layup by Danger. The partisan Illini crowd in Greensboro was in a frenzy, sensing their team was about to finally extinguish this pesky group of upstarts. With 2:43 showing on the game clock, Duquesne had the ball and desperately needed a score to keep their dream alive. That's when chaos ensued. Grant calmly rocked back, spotted up, and drained a cold-blooded triple from the right wing to make it a two-possession game at 70-66. On the other end, Illinois rushed an ill-advised three that missed badly. The Dukes corralled the rebound and raced it up the floor where Guiao Jr. calmly stroked another three right over the outstretched arms of the Illinois defender to make it a sudden 70-69 game with 2 minutes left. The Duquesne section was in absolute delirium as the underdog rally reached a fever pitch. Seizing the momentum again, Illinois attempted to burn some clock, but Shannon Jr.'s pull-up in the lane was stuffed cleanly by the trailing Grant. The loose ball was batted ahead by Johnson III to a streaking Ciro Millsap for a thunderous dunk that improbably gave Duquesne a 71-70 lead. An irate Underwood immediately called timeout to settle his troops as the primetime TV audience was in a frenzy. In the ensuing 90 seconds, the teams traded frantic buckets and stops in one of the most riveting finishes in recent tournament memory. With the score knotted at 73-73, the ball ended up in Grant's hands for what would be an all-time glory or gut punch possession. Ice water in his veins. Dribbling out the final 25 seconds, you could feel the tension radiating through the nation's televisions. Grant was in complete control, using his terrific handle to bleed the clock under 10 seconds. As he reached the logos, he finessed a lethal crossover move that put the defender on his heels. That's when he rose up and fired, a cold-blooded three-pointer from the top of the key that seemed to hang in the air for an eternity. The shot hit literally nothing but nylon, dropping through cleanly for Grant's 25th point of the night to give Duquesne a 76-73 lead with just 6 ticks left. The crowd noise was deafening as the Duke players raced off the bench in euphoric pandemonium, realizing they had just knocked off a national championship contender. Illinois still had one final gasp after a timeout. Getting it inbound to Shannon Jr., who had a decent look from 25 feet, but his clean look from deep to tie it rattled out as the horn sounded. Duquesne had pulled off the utterly unthinkable. The nation had watched them continually punch above their weight, rallying from multiple deficits down the stretch. And when the biggest moment arrived, Grant played the role of heroic underdog to perfection by burying Illinois' dreams with the most dramatic of dagger three-pointers imaginable. As the Duquesne players raucously celebrated their historic 76-73 victory while dogpiling at center court, Grant was overcome with raw emotion. Immediately, his mind flashed back to a couple years earlier, his mother in the hospital battling for her life, the entire family fearing the worst. One of his deepest regrets was that his mother's health had rapidly deteriorated just as the COVID-19 pandemic hit, preventing him from being with her as much as he had wanted during her final days. He had promised her he would go on to achieve great things in her honor. Choking back tears in his on-court interview with TNT, Grant revealed, "I made a promise to my mom before she passed away that I would make her proud and honor her in everything I do. This one was for you, Mama. You're my hero." What started off as your typical primetime game between a blue blood and a decided mid-major underdog had evolved into an all-time iconic moment and survival story for the ages. Duquesne's stunning takedown of Illinois had captivated a national television audience in one of the most emotionally gripping finishes the NCAA tournament has ever produced. The Dukes had overcome every conceivable hurdle, a 20-point deficit in the first round, relentless deficits against Illinois, and the doubts of essentially everyone outside of their circle. And the heroic trigger man was their heart and soul leader Day Grant, who had produced an all-time clutch performance that would live on forever in March Madness lore. Simply calling it Cinderella felt inadequate to describe the indescribable drama that had unfolded on TNT. As is the magic of the NCAA tournament, Duquesne's shining moment in the spotlight was just beginning. Much bigger challenges and dreams still awaited in the magical journey they were about to continue authoring before the eyes of an adoring nation.